Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. My name is Audrey Jones of Your Book Solutions, where we help writers become published authors. I am excited today to introduce my guest. She is a native of Paterson, New Jersey. She is a mother of four and a grandmother of nine. She is a newly elected senior pastor of St. Baptist Church of Passaic, New Jersey. She is a former associate minister of the Community Baptist Church in Englewood, New Jersey, where she served as the ordained reverend. She has her degree in business administration, and she is currently working on her degree in psychology with a Christian base. She is an accomplished singer, songwriter, and producer. Her goal in life is to teach people how to overcome adversity by understanding the scriptures. She is the published author of the book, Diary of a Church Girl, and she is also working on a new book. She uses the pain of her past to push others into the promise of their future. That is powerful. I want to repeat that. She uses the pain of her past to push others into the promise of their future. I present to you published author, Pastor Helena Pierce.
Hi.
Oh, Helena, how are you?
You know what? I'm blessed. I can't complain at all. God is doing amazing things in my life lately.
Well, I can definitely see that. You are doing great things, and congratulations on all that you have accomplished.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome. I'm just like, wow, she is just moving things along in life. So awesome. So, congratulations to you once again on everything that you're doing. Now, before we get started, I have to share this with our audience.
Okay.
Helena and I are childhood friends. We grew up together, and it's just so amazing how we have come full circle as accomplished adults. So, I am just so excited to be interviewing you today for Your Book Solutions. Congratulations. This is so
Congratulations to you too.
Thank you so much. And thank you for accepting the invitation.
You're
So
welcome.
today I want to talk to you about Diary of a Church Girl.
Okay.
Now, what is so exciting about this is, and I don't even think you know this, but when you first told me about your book, right, years ago, and you wanted me to read it, and just naturally, I just started editing the book. And your book was actually the first book I edited because it was just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. The book is phenomenal. Just the title alone intrigued me. But from there, I started getting other people who wanted me to edit their books, and then their books became published. And look and behold, Helena, it
Wow.
started with you.
Oh, praise God.
It started with you. So listen, Diary of a Church Girl. Wow. I mean, like I said, that title alone makes someone wants to pick up that book and read it. So tell us and tell our audience, what inspired you or motivated you to write Diary of a Church Girl?
Okay, so the first thing is the title, right? Of course, we know the play. There's a play out there, Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Right.
So I am a journal. I journal. So I write in my diary all the time. And at that moment, when I started thinking about writing the book, I was looking in the pages of my journals or in my diary, and I'm a church girl. So it only made sense, Diary of a Church Girl. Because I wanted people, the reason why is because I wanted people to understand who I was and why I was the way I was, why I acted the way I act. There was this misconception, Christians would make when you don't act the way that they think you should act. So if you're not vocal or in cliques or everything. If you keep to yourself, then all of a sudden there's something wrong. She has a demon. There's something wrong with her. And I wanted to end that and just let people understand exactly who I was and maybe why I'm so quiet and not so open with everybody. So that was the motivating factor. Get my story out there.
Wow, that is so interesting. I mean, I read the book and still didn't even know all of that. So look at this. This
Right.
interview is just like opening even more information about it. But that's interesting because you say, people do judge church people.
Yes.
And, and it's so funny because the Bible says to not judge, but they're the first ones to judge.
Right.
So I love the fact that, you put that out there. And, most people, they want to share their personal experiences, but they're afraid to do so. And what made you overcome that fear and want to put it out there?
So for years, I didn't know what my problem was. So for years, I dealt with depression and everything else. And then one day, I was taking my daughter to therapy, and I had just recently had issues in my marriage at that time. I had gotten bit by a dog, so I was having nightmares. So I had not slept in about 2 months.
Wow.
And then dealing with depression, I was absolutely suicidal. And when I brought my daughter to therapy, oddly enough, her therapist looked at me and said, come into my office. Let me talk to you. And immediately started therapy with me. She saw that I needed something done. And then shortly after that is when I learned I suffered from a couple of things, social anxiety and depression at the time. Yeah. So it was helping me to tell her my story. It was helping me get it off my chest. So that was the reason. Another means of getting my story out there, getting things off my chest, so I'm not feeling that anxiety when I'm around people and they don't know what's going on with me. It helped me to just write it out and then present it to people so they can read it and understand. So that was the motivating factor of telling my story, so I can get it off my chest and heal. I need to heal.
Wow. Wow, Helena. That is amazing that, she was professional enough to even recognize that you were going through something, and then for you to be open enough to accept it, So when someone read your book, and especially if they're dealing with depression, what are your recommendations to help them get through, such difficult times in their life when they're dealing with depression?
So my first order of business is to tell people, seek professional help. In our community, African Americans, and in church, double Tranda, it's a taboo. Yes. They think that it's a problem. I've had people, I remember telling when I was trying to date, and I remember meeting this guy and I told him I was in therapy, and he was like, that's the devil. You don't believe in God. If you don't, like, it's so sometimes it's a taboo to seek help. But that's my first advice, is to seek help. My second advice is don't be afraid to talk. So even if you don't go to a psychiatrist, you should have someone that you can talk to, that you can vent and get it out. The more you let it out, the better you'll feel. It might be painful in the beginning, but the release, that pain that you get. So cows, right? Some cows have this condition where they get really bloated and fill up with gas. And it's necessary for the owner to literally punch a hole in that calf's stomach and let the gas explode, right? To come out for the cow to live. The initial pinch probably hurts, but it's more better to have that release happen than it is to stay bloated and then explode later. And that's what we do when we don't let it out. We explode later.
Wow, that's a good analogy, honestly, because, like you said, there is taboo. And that's why a lot of people do not seek help. And it's become so prevalent now that people are holding things in. And like you said, one day they just want to, blow up on people. And that's where, the violence come in with the guns and everything else. It just triggers so many other things. So it's good that you're in a position where you can help people understand that it's okay, especially church people, because
Yes.
they have this facade where they have to be perfect, and if they don't fit that mold, then something's wrong with them, like you were saying, and they have to seek help, which is really, really good. And then with you being a pastor, you've been on both sides, so you understand how to speak to those people and actually see where they can get some help. So when people read Diary of a Church Girl, what can your readers expect to receive from that book?
If they read with an open mind, one can expect to hear my story, multiple stories. I mean, there's so much that has happened in my life. But as the tagline in the book says, it all worked together for my good. So they can, one, hear my story, two, maybe find themselves in some of it, and then see or be encouraged that you're not stuck in this place. You literally can move forward and prosper. I personally, if someone had told me 30 years back that I'd be where I am today based on everything I was going through then, I'd be like, nah, I'd just be, a statistic in my hood. But by the grace of God and through the scriptures and through communication, here I am.
Wow, that's so powerful, because they need people like you, Helena. They really do, because people hold it in too. They hold it in, and like you said, you was doing your journaling, and that helped you, and I'm pretty sure you can even help people figure out what their outlet can be, even
Right.
if it's them writing a book or journaling or whatever it is that they need to get through. And growing up, I've seen some of your struggles, and knowing you from just our childhood years, I've seen a lot, and there's a lot you didn't mention, so
Right.
I'm so I'm so happy to see where you are today. Like I said, so much you have accomplished, and it gives other people hope to see that they can do it too.
Absolutely.
So that I commend you for that. That is just awesome. So you have a new book coming out.
Yes.
What is the name of that book, and what is that book about?
So the name of the book is called The Power of the Drop. And it's based on a story in the Bible by Mephibosheth, who is King Saul's grandson, Jonathan's son. And Mephibosheth was dropped as a small child by his nursemaid, fleeing for his life. And the reason why the nursemaid was leaving or fleeing, because Saul was killed and his father Jonathan was killed, and she didn't want them to kill him. And these people were killed because the household of David didn't want them to overtake the throne. David did not tell them, but he would be next in line for the throne because King Saul was king at that point.
Right.
The glory in that drop was, so he became crippled in the process. And while crippled, he was hiding in a place called Lodabar. So he's crippled and he's hiding, but the Bible indicates he still was able to have a family, so on and so forth. But because of his state, he wasn't a threat, right? And he's still hiding though. Now he's a grown man at this point, and King David now is searching for someone to bless from the house of Saul, because he promised Jonathan that he would. And so here Mephibosheth is, and they say, do you know anybody? And one of the workers from back in the old palace that worked for his grandfather was like, yeah, Mephibosheth is hiding in Lodabar. And it's amazing because you think you hiding, but people know where you at. Right?
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
the end of that biblical story is David blesses Mephibosheth, and Mephibosheth gets to sit at the king's table for the rest of his life, and is given a place in the kingdom where he can set up home and live. He no longer has to hide. The victory is a cripple would never have been allowed in the house normally. But here he is at the king's table anytime that he wants to. And the glory is one of the things my pastor pointed out was the glory at sitting at the king's table is dressed with fine linen and the cloth is dressed down. So people who come in can't even tell that you're crippled. Wow. So the storyline teaches us that although we are dropped, there is a victory in it. We just got to see it. We have to see the victory in the drop. Sometimes people leave us jobs or given to someone else, and these things happen because God has something better. If he wasn't dropped, he would have been killed. If he wasn't crippled, they would have killed him. Mm-hmm. But because he wasn't a threat, he was able to hide out until the king blessed him. And sometimes God is just putting us in a predicament where we can hide out like he did me until he blesses us. Amen. Hallelujah. Gotta preach.
Wow. Come on, Pastor. She's preaching today. Come on with it.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's a powerful story. And it's so many nuggets in there, like you said, you know, being dropped and that saved, you know, his life. Because some people think you've been dropped and now you're no good.
Yeah, not to give away the book, but one of the first chapters teaches a lot of people get dropped and they get stuck at that moment of being dropped and they can't move past it. And the reality is the people that hurt you, harmed you, did you wrong, talked about you, most times have moved on with their lives and not even worried about how you feel. You're the only one suffering and no one else cares. And I try to teach people you have to move past that point where you're stuck and see what God has done. You got to see the victory in what God is doing. So it's so true. It's a great work. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my goodness, that sounds so awesome because people, you know, they get dropped in school, right? They get teased, they get bullied. I mean, drop can be so many things.
So many things, yeah.
And you hear adults like they're in their 40s and 50s and they're still talking about the person in high school that did them wrong. And like you said, that person going on with their life.
Yes.
But it's the damage that they have done to that person, not realizing that the damage was done. And this person is still living with it because they never had closure from it. So, wow, I like that. I love that. I love that. Power of the drop. And that just goes to show that regardless of what happens in your life, you can overcome it.
Right.
That's awesome. So when will that book be published?
I'm pushing because my installation service is in September. I'm pushing it for it to be done in September. But if it's not, it'll definitely be ready for Christmas.
Oh, nice. Nice. I definitely want to read that one too. So, you know, as you know, with Your Book Solutions, we have, you know, inspiring authors. They're watching this and they want to write their book. And some of them have written a book, but they procrastinate, they get stuck, you know, maybe they were dropped and they feel like they can't move past a certain point. What advice can you give them to push them forward, just as you did? I mean, you overcame so many obstacles and now you're just flourishing.
Right. So there really is no excuses. Those of you who are listening today, there's really no excuses because unlike before, getting a book done before was, you know, you had to wait for a publisher to sign you on and take you and make sure that they wanted to sign you. And now we got self-publishing. You can literally go on to Amazon and direct publishing and publish your own book immediately almost. You just download your transcript and there you go. So if procrastination is your issue, my advice is the advice that was given to me: start with one chapter at a time. Even if you commit to one chapter a day, one chapter a week, commit to that one chapter at a time. And then once you get flowing, don't even worry about editing or anything. Just write what's in your head, get it down on paper first. Just make sure you get it down. And then once you start getting in the flow, then you can worry about going back and editing and so on and so forth. If that's because some people just get stuck like me on the second book. So this book has been in the makings forever. But I got stuck because I saw so many mistakes in my first book that it halted. That I was frozen. I was scared to make any more mistakes. I had people who wouldn't even purchase the book because of the mistakes I made. So I was fearful. And then my pastor encouraged me when he said to a group of us, just do one chapter at a time. And so that's what I had to start doing. I had to force myself to just do that one chapter at a time so that I can get it done. And it's working. And I know that this next book is heaven sent because it is a sermon that I've done. And every time I preach that sermon, so many lives are changed. And so many people is like, you should make it a book. So, and that's why we made it a book. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome. Well, I'm pretty sure everyone is definitely going to be, blessed by that book because, you have a lot of insight, a lot of experience. And I'm so happy to hear you say the things that you're saying to encourage writers because these are so many of the tips that I have given them. And, it's just like they have to hear it from someone else too. So, that's like confirmation.
Yeah.
It's so hard for people to just push through, that certain point that they hit that wall and can't get through. So that was some great advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. So before we wrap up, what are some last words you want to say and some good advice you want to leave for your audience?
Well, first, because I meant to do this coming on, hi to my St. Paul family. That's my church. Those of you who are watching, hi to my family. Thank you for watching. I would like to just encourage people, especially women, to not be afraid of your story, right? Always tell your story. Your story is your history. It's her history. Um, and people are changed by your story. The Bible says that we overcome by the very words of our testimony. That means the same thing. We are overcome by sharing our story. You never know what someone else is going through and how you sharing your story will help them. Even if you have not overcome yet, just share what it is that you're battling because you never know who's listening, who could be able to help you in the long run. And out alongside of giving yourself that one chapter at a time, just know that you have purpose, right? So I suffer from sickle cell, and many of my peers that have my disease are long gone. And my first battle with sickle cell, because I wasn't tested as an infant, I was 13 years old. And AIDS was in the blood, and things were happening, and I could not get a blood transfusion. My blood levels was at 3, and I was literally dying. And the doctor looked at my mom and said, just pray. And then when I turned 30, they told me I had about 4 more years to live. And then when I turned 50, they said that your whole entire blood system is abnormal. You have no normal blood cells. And we don't know how long we can sustain you without you having a heart attack, a stroke, or something. You are a ticking bomb, is what they said to me. But here I am. So I always say, whenever I get up to pray, God, I thank you for one more day. Yes. Because in that day, you have helped me to accomplish as much as I possibly can. So I encourage you, take your day and accomplish everything that you can in that one day. Don't leave anything unturned. The next thing I say in my prayer is, God, I thank you for the opportunity to get right today what I got wrong yesterday. And just like we talked about those people who are struggling because someone else hurt them or did them wrong, if you have wronged someone, if you are the offender, take out time, go back and tell somebody you're sorry. You never know whose life you're changed by that. And if you have been wrong, take a moment and just deal with it and then let it go and move on. Share your story, share your experience, and live.
Wow. Helena, that is some great advice. I'm pretty sure you have touched many who's going to be watching this interview and changed some lives. And because there are a lot of hurt people, and hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
So if they know they hurt someone, and go back and apologize, because like you said, people, they can't move past the pain that someone else has caused.
Right.
And I remember your struggle with sickle cell, and I thank God that you're still here today,
Yes.
because God has the last say, not man.
That's
So
so
we
true.
thank God. We thank
And
God for you.
the devil thought he would have had me, but
Right?
I didn't. And my story.
Yes.
We there's incest in the house. There was rape in the house. We had to deal with me in the streets fighting in gangs and everything, and my depression and trying to commit suicide. All those things you'll find in the Diary of a Church Girl. But God has brought us through it all. Why? Because He's a just God. All you gotta do is trust Him. Just
Yes,
trust
He
Him.
is. Yes. And like I said, I know a lot that
Mhm.
you've been through. So when you were talking, I was like, they have no idea how
You're
much
right.
more this woman has been through. So, I thank God for you being here. I thank God for the wisdom. I thank God for you helping other people, and especially church people, because they hide behind so much.
Yes.
So we definitely thank God for you being here, because you have a purpose. You have
Thank
a
you.
purpose, and you
And
are
so do
working.
you.
Oh, thank you. And you are working in your purpose. And I just thank God for you. So, where can, if someone's interested in getting your books, where can they get them?
You can get all of my published items on Amazon. So, Diary of a Church Girl, you'll find under Helena Jones, which was my former name when I was married. Everything else you'll find under Helena Pierce. So, right now we have Diary of a Church Girl that is out. We have an intercessory prayer journal as well, that you can buy on Amazon. So, everything can be purchased on Amazon or direct publishing, or
Awesome.
Kindle. You can get it on Kindle.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we'll put that information in the link so people can support you, and definitely see what you have going on in your life. And I would love to have you come back when
Sure
Power of
will.
Drop is dropped.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely will. I think that that's going to
Awesome.
be absolutely necessary when that comes out. So looking forward to it.
All right. All right. Well, Helena, thank you so much for the advice that you have instilled in our listeners today. And congratulations again on all your accomplishments. And I will be putting the link in um, below so that people can support you. Support Helena Pierce. She is doing some great things. So definitely listen to this interview more than once, because I know she dropped some nuggets to help change your life. Thank you all for joining. Helena, I will talk to you soon.
All right.
Thank you
God
all.
bless.
God bless you, sis.